Hey there, welcome to this episode of Author Success Show. The special guest we have today is Travis Chustz. Travis desires to share his personal experiences and life lessons to help others so that they can see their true potential. His mission in life is to turn his personal pain into purpose. These are the driving forces behind writing his book, Boxed In, and starting his YouTube channel. Travis's YouTube channel is based on spirituality. He shows his audience practical tips to keep them in a positive and enlightened state of mind. Based upon the subject matter of his book and on his channel, he offers coaching to his audience. The goal of his coaching is to help guide individuals down a healthy path in life. Lastly, his philanthropic work is helping to end the $150 billion per year business of child and sex trafficking. Hey, Trav, welcome to Author Success Show.
Hey, JR, how are you doing? It's so nice to see you.
I'm doing great, Trav. It's such a pleasure to interview you because I thoroughly enjoyed the whole process of working with you on your first book, Boxed In. So, did you always wanted to become an author? Because I know you've had some life-changing experiences. Did one of them inspire you to get started? How did it all begin?
Well, and first of all, I just want to say thank you. Through this, I felt very green through this process. And, you and your team at Happy Self Publishing have gone above and beyond my expectations to achieve this goal.
Thank you.
Because through the entire process, I've learned so much. And I'm sure there have been moments where, and y'all have been patient with me. Excuse me for my Southern accent. I do say y'all.
No problem.
I grew up in the South in the state. So, but where did it begin? So I would say from birth, I had always been a creative person. I come from quite a creative family. My grandfather was a pretty well-known sculptor in South Louisiana. And I've had other members of my family write books and, artists and things like that. So I guess it was innately within my genes. So I had always wanted to write something. And now that I've written Boxed In, I feel like I know the process because I would love to do fiction. And this was a nonfiction book. But as I approached, I'm 42 now, and I was 41 when I started writing Boxed In. And I'm at that point in my life, right, where a lot of people around me are married with children and raising beautiful families. And I look at my life, and although my life may not look the exact same as someone who has that traditional family, I still wanted the same things, but I got the same things. It just looked a little bit different. And that was the point of writing Boxed In, was to take current definitions, actual definitions that I looked up online within the dictionary, and saw that they really hadn't changed over time ever. And I just really wanted to expand the definitions of these words, family, parent, wealth, and perfect, to expand their audience, hopefully change perspectives and make people feel more included.
Right. So did you see that around you, there were people who were making different choices and were happy with their lives, but were still feeling excluded? Did that want you to help them out by sharing your life experiences?
Absolutely. Well, there's a few places where I saw that, right? So I'll start with family. Being a part of the LGBTQ community, a lot of LGBTQ people have to find chosen family members of their own. I'm very blessed and lucky to have very supportive parents, but my brother has never been supportive. And I don't even think that was based upon the gay issue. It's because he is a diagnosed sociopath, and he lacks empathy and the ability to show genuine love. And he's 8 years older than me. So he had 8 years of being an only child. And then I came into the mix and from the time of birth was, faced both physical and mental abuse by him. So where I have very loving and supportive parents, I had that brother who to this day has not been supportive. So when it comes to the LGBTQ community, a lot of them are rejected by their families, other siblings, and they have to go out and find a family of their own. Or just like my friend Jennifer in the book, she was raised in a traditionally Catholic family. And, I do respect traditional religious views, but sometimes people go outside of their views. And unfortunately, for some of those people, they are rejected by their families. And that was in the case of Jennifer. And I was so honored to be able to share her story because she really overcame so many obstacles to come from nothing and come out of it raising her beautiful children and getting 4 degrees. I mean, just so powerful. In the case of redefining parent, I have many single friends who have fur babies, and I always direct them really to that. I say, I'm like, read parent, and I want you to go to fur babies first, because I know that it hits home for people. In fact, a friend of mine read fur babies, and she called me. She said she was crying after reading it. But being a parent to children is an incredible blessing, but not everybody is so fortunate. And where I have found being a parent was through my relationship, where it was really a parent-child dynamic. And when you read Boxed In, you can understand, and I know you have read it. And I have a friend of mine, Camille, and Camille not only is a mother to fur babies, but she's having to be a caregiver to her father. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, she had to go pick up her dad due to some of his, I guess, poor choices, one that almost seems teenager-like. So it's to be redefining parents is to be included in those parenting conversations. You've got water cooler talk at work. You'll be in situations where you're around people who are raising children. And it's just not only being able to explain a different perspective of parent, but also be a part of that conversation. And for wealth, for example, my chosen family member, Jamie, who is in the book, and she's featured in the book a lot, she's a caregiver to her husband. And she knows her husband faces mortality, where she will be a widow. And both of them are physicians, and they've both done extremely well monetarily. But when it comes to Jamie, she sees that as just maybe, money is wonderful, and I don't want to discredit people who lack money. But I believe we can all find wealth within ourselves, because true wealth is soul fulfillment, in my opinion. And that's where she found wealth, was through true soul fulfillment, because it's been a very challenging time for her and her family over these last 10 years.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you brought in not just your experiences, Trav, but also other people's experiences around you into this book. So before you actually started writing, I'm asking this because a lot of people have very profound life experiences, but when it comes to distilling those important knowledge in the form of a book, people struggle. So you wanted people to feel included. So when you sat down to write that book, how did you decide that these are the 4 areas I'm going to work on? This is how the book is going to be structured. Did you get some kind of divine download, or how did it happen?
Divine download. I say that in my YouTube channel. Yeah, I did get a divine download. I absolutely did. I didn't start. Something triggered me. Somebody that I worked with, probably one of the most negative people that I've ever known, where he would call every morning and just with his negative rants. And he just makes condescending remarks like, you don't understand because you don't have children, or you don't have a family. And it just really continued to rub me the wrong way. And I just started to think, and I said, no, I do know what it's like to be a parent, because I've been a parent to both of my fur babies and within my relationship. And I very much understand the role of parenting, even though I'm not a parent to a child. And it's not to, like I said, to be a parent to a child is a beautiful thing. I just never had that privilege. It would have been nice, but due to being a part of the LGBTQ community, some people adopt and some don't. And I just found myself, that was not the path I was supposed to take. So that's where I started. I actually started with the parent chapter first. And I started with the ways I have found myself to be a parent. And then from there, I really felt like I didn't want one narrow point of view. So thank you for saying that about including other people. I wanted the viewpoint of the book to come from a variety of influential and inspiring people that have been a part of my life. And that's when I started to incorporate other people, and I would reach out to them to ask if I could include them in the book. So when picking the 4 words, I actually had a list, a very long list of words.
Okay.
And I would get maybe those divine downloads and write them down and write down the various words. And I chose the words that really spoke to me. Because I feel like when it comes to family and parent, I mean, those are, as far as the entirety of this world, 2 of the largest words out there, especially when describing any sort of social dynamic. And when it came to wealth and perfect, and I think about society today and how people are some people, not everybody, are so set on having so many material things and collecting so much stuff and having so much money. And then perfect when it, with social media. And I feel like the impact social media has had when you see images of people who present themselves a certain way that we've all seen their unedited pictures and they don't look like that at all. And it's, there's a certain family that all starts with K that comes to mind. And I actually want to say that they may be the ones that would have started that trend.
Yeah.
They started other trends too, ones that I hope move in the past. But I think about young people, and I think about how that affects young people's mental health today. If I were a teenager growing up and seeing these images of what they want to look at as perfect, I believe it would affect my mental health, because as an adult, it affected my mental health. So I felt like when it came to wealth and perfect, really, that's what defines social status and perhaps goal setting.
So once you had this kind of a framework, like, these are the points I'm going to cover, these are the stories I'm going to include, how did the actual writing happen? Because you have a full-time job and it's not easy to carve out time to write. So how did you manage to do that? What was your writing routine like?
Well, again, I want to say I apologize, because I know there have been times I've been very behind. I was basically working 2 full-time jobs for 2 years, because not only was I working my regular job with the job, my job requirements, but I was also doing things to get promoted, and for the last 2 years. And so that in and of itself was a lot. So for me, it was really
you work in the pharmaceutical business, right?
I am in the pharmaceutical business. Yes. And so lots to say about that, but for another time, maybe. So I would have structure and wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And then I would, if I could find time, I would try to at least have 500 to 1,000 words a day, but definitely try to get 500 in. And maybe even take a break of having a day. But really, JR, it was just this fire within me and this passion that drove me. I was tired, but it was the internal fire that kept me going. And I even think about when you all came back to me with the editing process and I needed to really rework that first chapter of family. And I wanted to make sure we hit our deadline. So that's when I really, put my nose to the ground. Is that the right? I was, kept looking down and stayed focused. Let's put it that way. And wanted to make sure that that particular chapter was basically reworked. And because there are only 4 chapters in the book, each chapter, is not, they're a little bit lengthy, and family was the most lengthy chapter. So I would also do a little work at night. So after my day job, I would write as well. Yeah. So my goal would be to write first thing in the morning and at night, but I seem to have my best writing abilities in the morning. That's just when my brain functions the best.
So, Trav, I really appreciate that you were doing this almost on all days, this morning ritual and then going back at night and revisiting it. Now, unless you have that burning fire to publish the book, this wouldn't have happened. So what was your ultimate goal? Like, how would you define success for your book while you were writing it? Did you have some parameter that if my book did this for me, then I would consider this to be a worthwhile pursuit?
Well, first and foremost, I felt writing it was a form of therapy for me. And it did stir up a lot of emotions, especially when going back to my childhood, because I don't live in the same place as my brother. And so I haven't seen him in quite some time. So writing that really unlocked some emotions, and I believe unlocked healing. Right. So that was helpful. So that was success to me, number one. Number two would be to have the finished product. Just to know that I put my thoughts down, well, in a computer, but one would say to paper. And I was able to get my thoughts out. And I noticed through the process that, geez, I'm not really that bad of a writer. I'm actually pretty decent. And I have to give credit again to you all in the editing process, because you all made me even better. So just knowing that I had the finished product was success.
I'm so glad that, go ahead. Sorry.
And then I would just say, the icing on the the icing on the cake was how it was received. I'm very happy with when I hear people that it really resonated with, and people that, yes, have maybe the same points of view as me, but also people who are extremely conservative. And I loved hearing that from people who are very conservative, because I think they might be a little bit misguided on what the book's about. Nowhere in the book do I feel like I am trying to debate conservative points of view. The point of the book is to make everyone included. So that can range from being the most conservative to the most liberal. So hearing that was also some great validation. And I'm very, very happy with the sales progress so far.
So usually, Trav, the reason I ask this question is because authors usually, while they're writing the book, they think that how many books should I sell to get the ROI from this project? That's how typically people calculate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they sometimes miss the bigger outcome, right? Which is, as you said, the entire process could be self-healing for the author first before the readers. And I think that is totally priceless. And also the fact of just holding your book in your hand creates a different kind of confidence and authority in whatever you are, whatever your message is. And I think those are some fantastic results of writing the book, which cannot be measured. And talking about the feedback you're receiving from the readers, what has been one of the best comments you've received from people, which was totally unexpected for you?
My dad cried.
Oh.
He doesn't cry. My dad's a very macho man, I guess you can say. Is that appropriate to say today? I don't know. But, when he was in college, he was this well-known athlete, and he's in multiple halls of fame at his school. And, but he's such a good guy, and he doesn't show emotion, and he cried. So I don't know if that was necessarily a comment, but writing things down and verbalizing things through a book can really, the message can really hit into someone's heart in a way that maybe they can't hear you when you speak it. And I feel that is what happened with him.
Yeah, and I'm sure his tear is also, worth 1,000 words, right?
Right. So I want to try to think of an actual comment somebody said to me, but that's just really what stands out the most.
Absolutely. So when you finished writing the book, Trav, there could have been a lot of different routes in front of you to publish the book. Why did you decide to self-publish? And why did you decide to go with Happy Self-Publishing?
100%. Well, okay, first, I did my research when it came to traditional publishing companies. And the game has changed when it comes to because of self-publishing, the game has changed. Traditional publishers will more than likely only go with someone with an established name, a politician, a celebrity, an already established author, maybe someone who can really have a niche in something that's out of the box, even though I still feel like there's not a book out there like mine, because I researched that prior to writing it. And, it's just about taking back our power and and when we can take our power and self-publish, we're not at the mercy of a publisher to tell us no.
Yeah.
I've heard no enough in my life. I didn't want to hear no for this because I believe in myself and I believed in the book. With all that being said, I knew I had something in front of me that I wanted to be published, self-published, but I did not know how to go about doing it. And that's when I researched all-in-one encompassing businesses that can do it for me. And there were multiple businesses that showed up because there's a list, just like in the Better Business Bureau, that rank these businesses, and Happy Self-Publishing was part of that list. And I read the checklist of all that you offered, and I've had a few picked, narrowed down. And then I just started doing research on Happy Self-Publishing and the other publishing companies. And it was really when I did ask for that divine guidance to show me who to go with. And first and foremost, I love supporting companies run by women.
Thank you.
And in my book, I empower women, and I love to also support women. And congratulations on having a successful women-led company. So that was the first thing. Then our meeting. And I felt your energy. You have a very warm energy, but also a strong professionalism. The reviews with Happy Self-Publishing were phenomenal. But I think the main thing was, I have a personal statement that I tell myself. And I was looking for that final divine sign. And, I really want to help raise the consciousness of humanity through what I can do to give back. And that holds true to your vision statement, raising the consciousness one book at a time to help humanity. And it was in what my personal statement is and your vision statement, where it was just like, it's a done deal. And I did not make the wrong decision by any means. I have been thoroughly impressed. It thoroughly exceeded my expectations. To anyone watching right now, they're working on a website for me and going above and beyond what I would feel. And, you have been a great mentor to me on things that I need to do to ensure success. So not only are you going to have the best publishing experience, but you're going to go above and beyond if you choose happy self-publishing.
Wow, Trav, thank you so much for sharing this. It feels so reassuring because about a year ago, when we were revamping our website, I had a discussion with my business mentor, and she told me that, see, you have such, big goals, you have a big vision, but you're not talking about it anywhere. Why don't you proudly publish that on your website? I said, yeah, but people will think that I'm aiming for something too high. She said, it's okay. I mean, just go ahead and tell that this is your vision and this is your mission. So I'm so glad that we did that, because now people who are able to resonate with our vision, I mean, they are like, somebody like you is our soul client, Trav. We call you our soul client because we are meant to work with clients like you who value our work and whom we can help in return. So I think the message that I got personally from this interview is that I just need to be open and more vocal about what we care for and what we do, so that we can attract more of our soul clients. So thank you so much for sharing this, Trav. So
Absolutely.
also, one thing I really appreciate about you, which I want other authors to listen to, is that you are very receptive to feedback. A lot of people self-publish their book so that they can have total control on the whole process. And a publisher will tell you, do this and change that. And they don't want to do that. That's why they self-publish, saying that, here's my money, do what I say and get this book done. But your approach was very different. From day one, you told me that just tell me honestly whatever is not working and I will change it. So during the editing process and during every step, in fact, I write up to this website, you've been very open and happy to change, in fact. So I just wanted to know your mindset behind doing this.
Well, I mentioned it earlier in the interview that I was very green to the process. And if one has too much control, then they may have a vision. And I think it's great to have your own vision. Mm. But what I know is you all are the experts. I'm not. You all know what makes a successful book. I didn't. And I trusted all of your feedback throughout the entire process, because not only did I want to grow and be better and learn, which I did, but I wanted to make sure that we collaborated well together and that I had the best product out there. And if I had total control of the process, I wouldn't have a great product. I don't believe I would have that. This is why I chose you. And this is why I felt divinely guided, because I really felt like I learned from you, all of you. And that was priceless as well. So, right. And an added bonus that I didn't realize would happen through the process. So for other authors, it's important to be adaptable. It's important to listen to constructive criticism, because all happy self-publishing wants to do is make your book the best possible product for the right audience.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the audience, because it's not about you or us. It's ultimately to serve the audience, and whatever is best for them, you should keep that in mind. So finally, Trav, other than the book, a lot of authors also do this mistake, right? They publish their book, they talk about it for a couple of months, and then they move on with the next shiny object. But then you have been very consistent in growing your Instagram following. Your YouTube channel is phenomenal, and now you're also focusing on your Facebook group. So I just wanted your insights on, how are you planning to grow your audience, and how is it that you're doing it so well?
Boy, it's exhausting. So I was off of social media for quite some time. I shared it with my partner, but the name of the game when it comes to, you can have a great product, but you have to market it. And I wanted to create a brand for myself, and I'll get to that in a second when it comes to my YouTube channel. But every single day I think about what can I do different to market my book. And I know that it's important to have a strong social media following, such as on Instagram and Twitter, which has a great supportive writing community. But I'm constantly thinking about ways to market and promote my book, because I want my book to help people. That's the intent. I want it to reach the people that it needs to reach to help. And I'm putting that in God's hands. But I can't just sit back and think it's going to happen on its own. I have to put the work in for that to happen. And just today I posted, and I'm going to do many charity giveaways. So anybody, for me, who wants to make money off of their book, sure, that's the cherry on top of the cake. But
yeah,
for me, it's, if I can get my book in the right hands, especially because I redefine wealth, I'm not in it for the money. And so right now, for every 99-cent ebook purchased, and this includes paperback as well, I'm going to give $1 up to $500 for Ukraine relief to UNICEF, because of all the terrible destruction happening right now in the Ukraine. And so, I got to use my book to also incorporate my philanthropic work. And that's just hopefully making an impact to humanity. So on top of growing my brand, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, because I say it's a spiritual based channel, but I don't want it to be a controversial spirit based channel.
It's a spiritual safe house, right?
It's a safe house, right? And it's everyone's welcome to the safe house, to the spiritual safe house, because they're really just tips to keep you in a positive and enlightened state of mind. And that, to me, transcends all religions or all beliefs. So that's really why I created that channel, because I feel with COVID and all the changes that we've seen in the world, I'm seeing people more divided rather than united.
Yeah.
And if I can do my small part in my little corner of the world, or hopefully reach an audience, which, do you know, India is now my number one country for viewing my channel.
Wow.
Which is really cool. Yeah, my number one country. Yep. And India took off, like surpasses, it's like 25% of my audience now.
Fantastic.
It's insane. So
I'm sure you're not doing something small, Trav. This is huge. You might have started from a very small place, but then the way you are reaching out to people, it makes me see what kind of impact you can create in the future. So what are your plans next? I know you have a couple of book ideas in mind. So what is your next project going to be?
Well, I wanted to say likewise to you on making an impact as well, because you are as well, JR.
Thank you.
So I wanted you to know that. But so what's next? Well, I'm going to be starting my life coaching soon. I feel like I have so much life experience and so much knowledge to be able to help other people achieve their goals through a solution-based approach. So I actually submitted 2 videos to you all for the website just today. And I'm going to take your advice again. You gave me advice. You said, focus on your life coach business, focus on box in for right now before you write that second book. So again, to the audience, sure, I may just start writing it if I feel compelled to write. I have time, but I'm going to take your advice, since you've done it successfully, and focus on my life coaching business and promoting Boxed In through the rest of this year, and then start working on my second book. And I have a couple of ideas that you know about. I'm not going to say them right now. I want to keep them to myself and people that are closest to me, like you. But that's going to be what's going to happen through this year and then going into next.
Awesome, Trav. A lot of people, they promote their book for, as I said, for a couple of weeks or at the max a couple of months. But then I personally believe that if you market the book well for a year, then afterwards your readers are going to market it for you, right? So then it has that kind of an effect, and you don't have to do much. But then for a year, just keep talking about the book as much as you can, and you're doing that very consistently, and that makes me really happy. And before the interview started, you were telling me that usually most of our clients are these entrepreneurs who are already successful and they just need the book to go to the next level, which is one type of clients that we work with. And there's nothing wrong. They were probably making $10,000, and now after the book they make $20,000 per client. But it makes me feel more fulfilled when I work with authors who don't have any business before the book. But after the book, they start their coaching business, they have an online course, they create an entire ecosystem around the book. And a couple of our clients have also written back to me saying that now they have left their full-time job and they're only focusing on serving more people through their work, through their coaching and other things. And that is something that's really, fulfilling for me and my team at Happy Self Publishing. And you are doing just that, Trav. So thank you so much for following your heart and doing this work.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where the road takes me. And I believe in myself, and I believe that I have a passion and a call to help humanity. So if I do everything that's heart-based and not ego-based, I believe that will transcend into whatever that divine success is.
Well said. So what would be your final word of advice to all those aspiring authors out there who keep having this calling that they need to do something about their book, but they're not really taking the next step?
Just do it, is what my advice is. Pick up your computer, start at any place of the book that you feel called to start. You don't have to start at the beginning. You don't have to start at the introduction. Just start getting your thoughts down, either on paper or Microsoft Word. Get your thoughts down and start writing, because you don't want to look back at your life and think, why didn't I do that? Or what if? Life is too short for what if, or why didn't I do that? And especially if you want to make an impact to your audience, but also maybe even to humanity. We have so many strong, powerful voices in this world, voices that are unheard, that need to be heard. So my advice is just do it and start at any point, and the rest will come to you. I promise, as it did for me.
Yeah, I think that's very practical advice, Trav. So where can people find out more about you and the book?
So travischustz.com will be launching soon.
Yes, I think by the time this episode goes live, the website will be live.
Okay, great. So travischustz.com, and then you can go to my YouTube channel, which is also my name, Travis Chustz, and it's practical tips to keep your light shining. And if you want to find a boxed in, it is out on Amazon for both ebook and paperback.
Awesome. We'll have all the links right below in the show notes. And thank you so much, Trav, once again for coming on Author Success Show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And, I always love speaking with you.